She laughed at me along with her friends. I paid only for myself and left. Now I'm laughing in my new home. You ever been in a room full of people laughing, and you suddenly realize you're the joke? That was me. Friday night. Italian bistro downtown. Candlelight flickering on wine glasses. The kind of place where everyone's smiles are polished, but their words cut like broken glass. And me? I was the punchline. Here's to my promotion, said Tasha, raising her glass, her diamond bracelet catching the light. Her friends, Mira, Delaney, and Zoya, clinked their glasses with theatrical giggles. I smiled, genuinely happy for her. She'd just been promoted to senior marketing strategist. She'd worked for it. Deserved it. But that's when Mira leaned in, cocked her head, and said, "So, does this mean you're finally upgrading from blue-collar Brad to someone a little more polished?" They laughed. Loudly. Like I wasn't there. Like I was just a prop in their sitcom. I work in residential wiring and low-voltage installation. Not glamorous. Not LinkedIn sexy. But it's honest work, and it pays the bills. I'm right here, I said, voice calm but tight. Tasha rolled her eyes. Oh, come on, Brad. Don't be sensitive. You know they're just playing. Playing? Delaney chimed in next. You gotta admit it's kind of cute. Like the whole, he fixes stuff, boyfriend trope. But aren't we getting a bit old for fixer-uppers? That one hit. I looked at Tasha. Waiting. Hoping for her to say something. Anything. A defense. A smile in my direction. But she just sipped her wine and said, "If the jokes bother you, maybe you should go." The words hung in the air. My chest went cold. You're serious? Another shrug. It's just a dinner, Brad. Don't make it a thing. But it was already a thing. I stood up slowly, pulled out my wallet, laid down enough cash to cover my plate, hers, and the bottle of overpriced red she insisted we order. Enjoy the rest of your night, I said. I didn't look back when I left. The street felt like freedom. Bitter, cold freedom, but freedom all the same. I slept on the couch at Ryan's that night. He's my best friend, always has been. When I told him what happened, he just shook his head and said, "Damn. I always had a feeling about her." And those friends? Toxic doesn't even cover it. He offered me a beer. We sat in silence, ESPN humming in the background. It was the first peaceful moment I'd had in weeks. Tasha blew up my phone. First with confusion. Then guilt trips. Then straight-up rage. You embarrassed me. You owe me an apology. Grow up. I didn't reply. Blocked her. Then blocked all her friends. The next morning, Ryan made eggs. He said, "You staying here until you get your head straight is fine. Just don't bring any crazy drama." But drama was already coming. That evening, I got a DM from Tyrell, Zoya's boyfriend. We talked a few times, mostly surface-level stuff. But the message was different. "Hey man, I saw what happened. Just wanted to say, that wasn't right. Also, watch your stuff. They're talking about teaching you a lesson." A chill crawled down my spine. I left work early and drove straight to the apartment Tasha and I shared. The door was unlocked. The place? A wreck. My toolbox? Gone. My guitar? Missing. The shelves I built from scratch, ripped off the wall. And worst of all, my motorcycle was gone. Not just any bike, a restored 1977 Triumph Bonneville. My dad and I built it before he passed. There was a sticky note on the fridge. Should have stayed and laughed with us. I didn't cry. Not then. Just stood there, numb. But one thing was clear. This wasn't heartbreak. This was war. And I wasn't going to lose. When I opened the front door to the apartment, it hit me right in the chest. Not physically. Emotionally. The silence. The smell of old perfume and burned plastic. The couch cushions were ripped. A wine glass shattered near the sink. A photo of us, the one we took in Santa Monica, smiling like idiots, had been thrown face down onto the floor. The frame cracked. But that wasn't the worst of it. My tools, gone. My entire toolbox, the one I'd built up since trade school, empty. Cleared out. My power drill, gone. Wire strippers, meters, soldering kit, my custom flashlight, all of it traced. And then I looked into the garage. My motorcycle was gone. The 1977 Triumph Bonneville. The one Dad and I rebuilt from nothing. The last thing I had of him. I could still remember the smell of the garage when we worked on it together. The grease on our hands. His voice explaining the throttle system like it was a symphony. Now it was just gone. There was a sticky note on the fridge in red marker. You walked out. So I cleaned up. I don't know how long I stood there. I didn't scream. Didn't punch a wall. Just sat down on the floor like a kid who lost their toy. But this wasn't about toys. This was my life. My history. My future. And she sold it. Probably for a few $100 on Craigslist. By noon the next day, I was at the police station with a report in hand. Detective Morales looked over the photos I'd taken, the empty garage, the note, the receipts I had from buying the bike parts. I even had the title and VIN number saved. Looks pretty clear, he said. If she sold property that was legally yours without your consent, that's felony theft. Especially something as valuable as that motorcycle. I nodded. She also sold my tools. Over $2,000 worth. He raised an eyebrow. We'll open a case. That night, I called my landlord, Mr. Cho. He was already aware something was wrong. Apparently, Tasha had submitted a rental transfer request. She wanted me off the lease. Mr. Brady, he said on the phone, are you and Miss Collins still together? I paused. No. And she vandalized the apartment. I filed a police report this morning. Long silence. Well, in that case, you're the primary leaseholder. I'll deny her request and issue a formal warning. If she continues damaging the property, she'll be evicted. The next morning, I returned to the apartment with 2 boxes and a friend as a witness. Tasha was there. She didn't look surprised to see me. You're trespassing, she snapped. Nope, I said. Primary tenant, remember? She crossed her arms, smirking. Well, good luck proving that bike was yours. You left. That's abandonment. I pulled out the police report. Already filed. Motorcycles in the system as stolen. Also, I hope you kept receipts from selling it, because Craigslist keeps records, and so do I. Her face fell. Just slightly. You're such a child, she muttered. I ignored her and started gathering the rest of my things. My books. A couple of framed photos. A pair of boots she hadn't bothered to touch. Then she said the one thing that made my blood boil. You were always just background noise. Comfortable. Like a space heater. I turned and stared at her. Then why are you so mad I left? I said. She had no answer. I dropped the keys on the table. Not the front door key. I was still the legal tenant. Just the one to the bathroom cabinet. The one she always locked when her friends came over, afraid someone might steal her shampoo. Let her wonder what that meant. I walked out with my 2 boxes and 0 regrets. Later that night, I got a message from Tyrell, Zoya's boyfriend. The only decent human in that group. Heard she sold the bike. That's cold, man. Just wanted to say, I got your back. She's spinning stories, but some of us know the truth. I thanked him. Then turned off my phone. For the first time in months, I wasn't scared of being alone. I was ready to be free. It took less than a week for everything to spiral. Tasha started texting again, not to apologize, but to threaten. She claimed I stole shared property, demanded I return a slow cooker and a throw blanket. The same woman who sold my motorcycle without blinking was now losing her mind over a $30 appliance from Target. I didn't respond. Not to her. Not to the stream of insults from her friends. Meredith messaged me, "Real men don't run." Bianca commented on an old Instagram photo of mine with a puke emoji. Jasmine sent a voice note that was basically 5 minutes of her laughing. But I had something they didn't, patience. And receipts. Detective Morales called me Thursday. We tracked the sale of the motorcycle. Craigslist post was tied to an email address registered to Tasha Collins. Payment went through a Venmo linked to her name. I felt my stomach drop and sore at the same time. We're issuing a subpoena, he continued. Also, the buyer is willing to testify. He thought she had full ownership. I thanked him. hung up, then sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall. This wasn't revenge. This was survival. The next domino fell on Friday. My landlord called again. "Mr. Brady, we received multiple noise complaints this week. Your co-tenant appears to be hosting late-night parties. Police were called last night." I sighed. "Can I formally request her removal from the lease?" "Yes. Given the damages and the report you filed, we can proceed with eviction." I asked if I could be present. "Absolutely." On Monday morning, I stood in the hallway with a clipboard and Detective Morales. We knocked. Tasha opened the door in leggings and an oversized hoodie, mascara smudged under her eyes. "You again? What now?" "Ms. Collins," Morales said, "you've been served. Legal notice of eviction and a criminal summons regarding the sale of a stolen vehicle." She froze. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "You have 30 days to vacate," Morales added. "Also, if you attempt to leave the state before your hearing, a warrant may be issued." She looked at me like I had shot her. "You can't do this." I said nothing, just watched her face fall. The fallout was fast. Tyrell dumped Bianca. He texted me a screenshot of her DMs, begging him to lie to the cops if they asked about the bike. Meredith got fired. Apparently, someone sent screenshots of her harassing me to her company HR. Not me, of course. Someone. Jasmine's boyfriend broke up with her after she went viral on Reddit for mocking a guy with PTSD. She deleted all her social media. I moved into a new studio. Small, clean, quiet. The kind of place where the heater clicks at night and nobody yells through the walls. I started doing freelance electrical work on weekends. Rebuilding a new bike. Drinking black coffee. Sleeping 8 hours. Living like I used to before I tried to be someone else's safe option. The last text I got from Tasha said, "Hope you're happy. You ruined my life." I didn't reply. Because she was wrong. She ruined her own life. I just stopped standing in the way. There's something about fixing what's broken with your own hands that heals more than just machines. I found a second-hand Honda CB750 listed on a local board. The ad said it was non-functional, missing half its guts, and priced to move. Perfect. Every night after work, I came home, rolled up my sleeves, and got to work. Engine parts were spread out across a plastic table in my new place. The smell of old oil and metal filled the air. It was meditative. In between rewiring breaker boxes and installing ceiling fans for cash, I rebuilt myself. I hadn't touched alcohol in weeks. My diet was mostly protein bars and gas station burritos, but I was sharper than I'd been in months. I was sleeping. I was waking up before my alarm. I stopped checking Tasha's socials. And then, randomly, Marcus invited me to a bar downtown. Said he'd met someone I should meet. I almost said no. But I didn't. It was one of those industrial places, exposed brick, Edison bulbs, cocktails in jars. I arrived late, as always. Marcus waved from a booth. There were 3 people with him. One of them was her. Aubrey. Short hair, freckles like constellations. Black boots. A stack of bracelets on one wrist. She looked up and smiled like she already knew something about me. "You must be Brad," she said. Her voice was low and warm. No judgment, no fake perkiness. We talked about music first, then tools. She builds furniture from reclaimed wood. Full-time. Said she grew up with brothers and preferred hammers to hairbrushes. I told her about the bike. She asked what happened to the last one. Sold without permission. She didn't ask who. Didn't dig. Just nodded. After 2 drinks, Marcus left. I didn't even notice. Aubrey leaned in and said, "Most people stay in relationships long after they rot." I blinked. That was sudden. "Sorry," she laughed. "I just meant, you seem like someone who got burned. And you're still here. Not bitter. Just rebuilding. That's rare." I wasn't sure what to say, so I smiled. We ended the night outside, sitting on the curb eating street tacos. Aubrey told me she lost her father 2 years ago. Built a coffee table out of his old barn doors. Said she couldn't sit still after that. Before we left, she asked if she could see the bike sometime. It's not much to look at. Neither am I in the morning. We laughed. She squeezed my arm. Let me know. I'd love to help. I'm good with wires. Back at home, I looked around the tiny studio. The bike was in pieces. My laundry was on the floor. But for the first time, it didn't feel empty. It felt like a beginning. And maybe, just maybe, I was ready for one. It was Saturday morning when the knock came. Not a friendly knock. Not the kind you hear from neighbors dropping off mail or kids selling cookies. This was deliberate. Too loud for 9 a.m. I opened the door halfway. Tasha was standing there. She looked different. Makeup free, ponytail messy. Her expression, though, hadn't changed. Still that same mix of defensiveness and expectation. Like I owed her something just for opening the door. Hi, she said, like it was the most natural thing in the world. I didn't answer. Can I come in? Why? I think we should talk. There was a time I would have stepped aside. Now I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorframe. There's nothing left to talk about. She blinked, as if surprised I wasn't falling into old patterns. Brad, I made a mistake. I actually laughed. Which one? Selling my bike? Letting your friends trash our apartment? Mocking me at dinner? Or trying to paint me as some controlling ex when all I did was leave quietly? Her lips pressed into a line. I panicked. Things were stressful. I didn't know how to handle. You handled it by stealing from me. She flinched. I didn't come here to fight, she muttered. Then you came to the wrong door. She stood there a moment longer. I moved back in with my parents. Bianca's not speaking to me. Meredith got fired. Jasmine's boyfriend dumped her after seeing the text she sent you. Everything's falling apart. I raised an eyebrow. And that's my fault? No. I just thought, maybe you'd want to know. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. No way was I letting her back into my space. Why now, Tasha? I miss you. I miss us. I studied her face. It wasn't love. It was desperation. Loneliness. The kind you feel when your world shrinks and there's no one left to blame but the mirror. You miss not paying rent. You miss someone fixing your shelves and cooking dinner after work. You miss the convenience of me. Her eyes filled with tears. Real or not, I didn't care. Brad, please. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. For a moment I felt that old tug. The urge to comfort. To fix. But then I remembered Aubrey's laugh, the smell of motor oil, and what it felt like to finally sleep without tension in my chest. I do, I said. I know exactly what I'm doing now. She wiped her face. So that's it? Yeah, that's it. She nodded slowly and walked down the steps. As I turned to go back inside, I saw something strange in her eyes. Not sadness. Not regret. Anger. And for the first time since she sold my bike, I didn't feel afraid. I felt free. It started small. First, my email was flooded with password reset requests. Nothing major. Just annoying. Then my tool supplier called, asking why I'd canceled my standing orders. I hadn't. Then my bank called. Someone tried to log into my business account using the wrong credentials. 3 times. That's when I knew it was Tasha. She wasn't just angry, she was dangerous. I changed every password. Set up 2-factor authentication. Froze my credit. Called my landlord and told him to notify me if any complaints came in. He laughed. She already tried. Said you were dealing drugs. I told her to grow up. Still, the damage kept coming. Someone left a 1-star review on my business page calling me a scammer. Then another. All fake. All mentioning stolen deposits, unfinished jobs, threats of violence. My 5-star rating collapsed in a day. Then came the mail. A letter from the DMV. Someone filed a complaint saying I was driving without proper registration. Thing is, I hadn't driven in 2 weeks. I tossed the letter and sat on the floor, staring at the ceiling. This wasn't petty. This was warfare. The next morning I went to my storage unit, just to be safe. It was empty. Gone. Backup tools, motorcycle jacket, the signed baseball from my dad. No signs of forced entry. I asked for footage. There she was. Tasha. in sunglasses and a fake ponytail, punching in the access code. The same one I used for everything. She knew my habits, my weak points, my routine, and now, she was weaponizing it all. I filed a police report, brought them everything. The footage, the fake reviews, the threatening emails. The officer said quietly, "You're not the first. Some people don't take rejection well." But that didn't stop the fallout. Clients ghosted me. Jobs disappeared. She wasn't just punishing me, she was erasing me. I sat alone in my dim apartment. My tools stacked like soldiers without a war. I thought leaving her would be freedom. Turns out she just found another way to chain me. But here's the thing about hitting rock bottom. There's only one direction left to go. When you've got nothing left, the silence starts to speak. I sat in my apartment, laptop open, staring at the same review page Tasha had poisoned. My once proud business was now branded a scam by people who'd never even met me. No calls, no jobs, no income. And yet, I wasn't angry anymore. Not like before. I was calculating. The first thing I did was message Leo. Leo used to be my roommate back when I was 23, before life got complicated. Today, he's a digital forensics guy. Works on cybersecurity cases. I hadn't spoken to him in years, but when he picked up, I didn't waste time. "Hey man, I need to prove my ex hacked me, sold my bike, and tanked my business." Leo didn't even hesitate. "Send me everything." I forwarded the storage unit footage, fake review screenshots, emails, even the Craigslist listing where my bike had been posted. He started digging. Next, I called Mr. Porter. He was my old high school counselor who'd gone into law later in life. I didn't know if he'd even remember me. He did. Bradley Marks? The kid who built his own treehouse without blueprints. I laughed. "That's me." We met at a diner. I laid everything out. The sabotage, the theft, the attacks. Porter listened. "You've got more than a case," he said. "You've got a vendetta dressed as defamation and theft." By the end of the week, Leo had results. Craigslist post? Traced back to Tasha's cousin's Wi-Fi. Burner phone? Pinged from the tower by my building the day my tools vanished. Cloud access? Logged in from Tasha's apartment. We had proof. Digital footprints. Motive. Everything. Mr. Porter filed a cease and desist letter and a police report. He also brought in a civil attorney to start preparing a defamation case, potentially 6 figures if it made it to trial. But the real move? Small claims court, fast, public, and humiliating. And just like that, the tide turned. An old client reached out. Said she saw my reply to the reviews, "Grace under fire." A contractor buddy sent referrals. Even the landlord who almost evicted me dropped by to shake my hand. I wasn't out yet, but I was fighting with more than pride now. I had proof, allies, and momentum. And soon, very soon, Tasha was going to feel what it's like to be erased. Tasha never saw it coming. 1 week after the lawsuit was filed, her phone started buzzing like a fire alarm. Messages from old college friends, coworkers, even her Pilates instructor, all asking the same thing. Did you really sell his bike and hack his business? It was out. Leo had dropped a quiet bomb, a digital timeline with forensic proof, uploaded to a secure drive and shared with the authorities. Somehow, it found its way to the public. I didn't leak it, but I wasn't sorry it spread. Suddenly, the girl who thrived on her curated online persona, perfect hair, aesthetic brunches, motivational quotes, was radioactive. Tasha's job was the first to react. The HR email was cold and impersonal. Until further notice, you are placed on administrative leave pending review of the allegations. Her boss, a woman she once called a mentor, blocked her number. Then came the collapse of her social circle. Jasmine posted a vague story about disassociating from toxicity. Meredith unfollowed her. Brianna, the most loyal, ghosted. I didn't gloat. I didn't reach out. I simply watched the storm unfold. It was the first time in months I felt in control. Then came the court summons. Mr. Porter made it official. We weren't just demanding reimbursement for stolen property. We were suing for libel, malicious interference, and damages to my business. The evidence was airtight. The narrative undeniable. And Tasha? She finally cracked. She showed up at my building. Not banging. No drama. Just standing there, in worn jeans, no makeup, a trembling coffee cup in hand. "Brad, can we talk?" I stepped outside, arms crossed. "Make it quick." She looked up with eyes I barely recognized. "I didn't think it would go this far." I was angry. "I didn't think you'd fight back." I nodded. "Exactly. You thought I'd take it. Just like I did in that restaurant. Just like I did every time your friends mocked me." "I lost everything," she whispered. "My job. My reputation. I didn't mean for it to end like this." "No," I said. "But you meant to destroy me. You just underestimated how much I had left to lose." She reached out to touch my arm. I stepped back. "Don't." There was silence. Then she turned and walked away. Not storming. Not crying. Just defeated. I wish I could say I felt triumphant. But what I really felt was relief. This wasn't revenge. It was balance. A return to center. I went back inside, poured myself a coffee, and sat down with a client schedule that, for the first time in months, was full. The world hadn't changed. But I had. And that made all the difference.